Hello and welcome to the overview of Essentials of Social Media Marketing, Chapter 9, Marketing with LinkedIn. This is one of the final social media platforms that is in the textbook. Today, we're going to go through a couple elements of LinkedIn that'll be really important to know from a branding perspective, both professionally and personally, I would say. Uh, Quick anecdote to begin with, LinkedIn is probably the social network that I use the most professionally and has definitely led to not just good job opportunities for myself, but also some really good professional advancements, whether that be things that I've learned, connections that I've made with future clients, or in general, just being able to connect with the wider digital marketing community. So, with LinkedIn, let's start with an introduction. LinkedIn is the business social network, the professional social network. This is where people go for, I would say, one, jobs, two, networking, and three, sales. People also come here to try to build a brand, try to develop some clout as a thought leader in their industry, and really kind of share the best practices that they have experienced along the way. And introducing LinkedIn in this section here is a pretty quick read, but the one big takeaway here is it's actually longer standing than Facebook, and that it was founded in 2002, but it really took off around 2010, maybe a little bit after that. And in 2016, I think most people are aware, Microsoft acquired LinkedIn for $26 billion. So now if we look at LinkedIn by the numbers, once again, like many other major social networks, you're seeing a dominance with the 25 to 34 age group. You're seeing a good amount in those age groups around it, but you're not seeing many in the 55 plus, which might be a surprise. I know I was surprised. I thought there was a wider audience there. Female to male ratio is even more distinct than, say, Twitter, which is overwhelmingly male. Here, more of the same. Obviously, country-wise, United States is dominant. When you look at how people use LinkedIn from a marketing standpoint, um, from a B2B side specifically, LinkedIn is pretty popular amongst brands. The B2C is, LinkedIn's not really there. There's no real reason to use it, but LinkedIn appears to be where there's the most trust in terms of what you're seeing. And it's also where people are going to make business decisions and they're in the business mindset. So that would be where you could promote a business offering a B2B opportunities. That's really where where LinkedIn is the most useful in terms of using it for social selling. There are two types of accounts that you can have on LinkedIn. There's the personal page, which is your traditional profile. And then there is the LinkedIn company page, which we will get to in a minute. That is where the brand lives. Interestingly enough, LinkedIn claims that most people engage with content that's relevant to them, is educational or informative, and is inspiring. Take that for what you will. Anytime that a social network is providing this type of data, I tend to take it with a grain of salt because there's an ulterior motive behind it that they are looking for. They're looking out for their own goals here. They're not just trying to provide information. So I do believe this, though. I mean, obviously, it needs to be relevant to you if you're going to engage with it. You're not going to respond. If you're in marketing, you're not going to respond to something about accounting, not unless there's some way that it becomes relevant to you. The way that I look at the word relevant is back to the age-old definition that is a theme in any social media course that I teach, and that it needs to provide value. If you don't find value from a LinkedIn post, there's no real point in engaging with it, just as you would a Facebook post, a tweet, or an Instagram photo or video. So Let's take a look at LinkedIn pages. Um, Company pages is where the brand will live. Obviously, sometimes you see brands come through from their executives on their own personal pages, and I have experimented with that a good amount as well. Um, I would say LinkedIn company pages are just like Facebook company pages in that um, you see a very, very, very small percentage of the actual follower number um, see the posts on a regular basis. With Facebook, you'll see anywhere from 5 to 10% of the followers actually seeing a post, and with LinkedIn, I have seen about the same, maybe a little bit more, depending on what exactly the content is that's being promoted. From the personal page side, personal account, and that's a little bit different. There, if you play by LinkedIn's rules and you work the algorithm properly, you could get about 75 to 80% of your audience actually seeing it. And a lot of it depends on the type of content that you're promoting, how quickly people are engaging and commenting with it, and obviously ensuring that it's something that is going to start a conversation and get people um, engaging back and forth. That kind of goes back to the comments. Um, there's instructions here on how to create a company page. We won't go through that. It's pretty straightforward. There is a new thing called showcase pages from a couple of years ago. That is an extension of a company page where if you want to do showcase a vertical of your company or um, subset of a business, that allows you to do that in a connected way. I look at showcase pages as I don't really see a lot of value in them unless it's a showcase page for a major brand like Amazon, as the textbook shows here. I have some clients who have showcase pages that surround a larger brand, but the larger brand in itself isn't that major, isn't that significant to begin with. So the only way that you see how these pages are all related are on that one small section on the sidebar of the company page. There's really not much else. Um, there's no real, if there's one big difference between a showcase page and a um, company page, um, it's really just that there's some targeting things that you can't do with a showcase page, and the company page has broader analytics available. And really that's about it. And also the showcase page it's a showcase page. It's not. It says it's a showcase page of a broader brand, and so it's clearly like a child page almost. If you're talking about it in website terminology. Um, there are product pages. Not really something that most people use. Career page is something big. Um, that's just that's just an extension of the company page where you can post your open jobs. So if you're ever going to be hiring, LinkedIn is a great place to start and at least post your position. The one thing that I have noticed though is there was a time years ago where I could post as many jobs as I wanted that I'm hiring, and I'd get a lot of applicants. I could get hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of applicants. I had an internship. I was hiring an intern, hourly rate, no more than 10 hours a week. And I got like 350 responses and legitimate applications. And I was shocked at how successful that was. Today, if I were to go do that same thing, LinkedIn will shut off my job after it gets like 75 applications. It ranges, it's around there. And then after that, I have to pay for any more. So it's now pay to play with LinkedIn jobs. And if you can get a good candidate in those first couple freebies, great. If not, you are stuck paying a significant cost. I mean, it is not cheap. You're looking at several dollars per applicant, which if you're looking at it from the flip side, like in advertising, that's a terrible, terrible rate. So LinkedIn is a job platform. really not as great as it once was. I don't know if that will remain, if it will remain that way for long, but if you're job hunting and you go on LinkedIn and you're looking at the open positions and you see a lot of jobs that are promoted for some reason, don't let that deter you. It's just that they are now being forced to pay for their jobs to be posted, and when that happens, LinkedIn legally has to say that it's being promoted. So no worries there. You can apply for promoted jobs, and that doesn't, mean that it's a job that you don't want. It just means that the poor business that is trying to hire somebody already got their quota as deemed by LinkedIn. So just a quick aside there. As we scroll on down here, there's not a lot of other things that are worth writing home about. Page analytics are really important. Um, I'm not going to go into a ton of detail about that today. That's for later in the semester. But when I look at analytics on LinkedIn, the number one biggest thing that LinkedIn has over other social networks on the company side is that when somebody follows the page, you can see who it is and you can message them and you can follow up with them. It is a great it's a great brand awareness tool, and it allows you to start these conversations and relationships with people who clearly found some level of interest with your brand. It's a good way to move them through the AIDA funnel even further, because as you may have surmised by this point, if you follow a page or follow or whatever, if you're trying to connect with a brand on social media, that's at least the interest stage, if not the desire stage. And what better way to keep moving them through to becoming an eventual customer than to start an actual one-on-one conversation with them? And that's what this opportunity is here with the LinkedIn pages. I've had some good success with this. Not great, but I've been able to drum up a little bit of business out of it. Sometimes it's people that you know and that you would expect, but other times if there's like an interesting one, oh, there's a CEO of a small business that looks like they're in my target audience, maybe I should strike up a conversation with them and see what I can do. That's the number one advantage to LinkedIn company pages over, say, a Facebook brand page or an Instagram business page. So let's look at LinkedIn company updates. And also, these also apply to most regular personal updates. So whatever. I do not agree with the first two sentences here. In general, social media updates should be short and to the point. However, that does not actually apply here. The most successful LinkedIn posts that I have seen, and I would say probably the top 100 or so, are very lengthy posts. They are essentially stories. They are blog posts. They have a mix. They have a diversity of content. So there's text and an image, or text and a video or something, and they are lengthy posts. And the idea here is that it is combining the elements of thought leadership and storytelling into one. And LinkedIn, as as many clout chasers as there are here, and as many crying CEOs as there are out there, there's also a lot of really good content that is posted in longer form on LinkedIn. It works on LinkedIn because this is where professionals go to consume this type of content, and you're not going to get it anywhere else. LinkedIn posts with 150 characters or fewer, honestly, probably are going to get you like 8 to 10 likes, the end. Nothing more is going to come out of it unless there's another form of media or you have some very, very, very punchy statement. In reality, you need to think about how you can expand your story so that it is more emotionally connecting and so that it has some clear takeaways for the reader. Again, you're trying to provide value here. And if you're trying to establish thought leadership, whether it be from a personal page or from a company page, doing so in 140 characters or less, 150 characters or less is just not possible. It's not sustainable. And sure, you can like just put one fact like, hey, always be sure to put a visual in your social media post. I mean, okay, that's it? Is there any context? Like, why are you sharing this? What's the point? This is not Twitter. LinkedIn and Twitter are not the same. People don't come to LinkedIn to be given one piece of advice and then nothing else. They want some rationale behind it, which, again, you're in a professional setting, or you're supposed to be in a professional setting here on LinkedIn. So I vehemently disagree with that piece there. A call to action link. Links on company updates are good. Great. Yes. Take them wherever. Fine. Links in a personal post are bad. If you put a link in your personal post, your post is going to reach almost nobody. LinkedIn's number one goal is to keep people on LinkedIn. And how do they do that? Well, they want to encourage people to not use links. It seems counterintuitive, but whatever. I mean, the research is clear here. There have been lots of studies done by a lot of people on LinkedIn and influencers there, where no matter what LinkedIn says, the numbers don't lie. I mean, there is a significant drop. I've seen it myself. I've posted links to other websites maybe 5 or 6 times over the past 12 months. And I have all my other posts, which have not had links. And you're looking at hundreds of posts here. I would say that those 5 posts are probably the 5 worst performing posts I've done in the last 12 months. Again, this is on a personal page, and this is on a personal page, not on a professional company page. But I just want to share that because chances are most of you are going to be creating content for your own personal LinkedIn profile before you are ever doing it for a brand. If you want to have a far-reaching piece of content and a far-reaching update, you need to know that part in advance. So as we keep going down, images are important, videos are important, yes. They do have polls, but polls are starting to go out of favor with LinkedIn and the algorithm and with people in general, because more and more people have been using polls to game the system. And by that, I mean, like, there would be very stupid yes or no questions, or like yes or yes questions, like poll questions that have no value whatsoever, but people would vote on them. And the more votes you get, those count as post engagements. So the algorithm is going to deliver it to more people. LinkedIn also has events. These are very nice because it gives you easy access to people who are planning to attend your event, and you can easily communicate with them. And LinkedIn Live is a thing, but it is it's not really being utilized as much as I would have expected. I personally haven't done this yet. I'm going to be trying to. I may try it actually at some point over the semester. So, I don't have a ton to share here, but the idea is that just like any other live video, you want to be sure to be spontaneous, to be entertaining, and to be providing value to anybody that's watching. So keep those in mind. You do want to do all these other things as well, but you need to give people a reason to watch. The LinkedIn algorithm, to shorten this, I'm going to give you 3 points here. One, on the personal pages, don't put links. On the company pages, do put links. That's number one. Number two, LinkedIn is going to show your post to more people as you get more engagements. There has been some new data coming out just in recent months, that even more recent, since this textbook came out with this latest update in August of 2022. And that latest update, from what I had heard on the algorithm, is that LinkedIn is looking for LinkedIn to share your post with a wider audience than who is already following you. You need to consistently be getting new likes and comments and shares and other forms of ways that people engage with your content. Previously, it was that LinkedIn was looking for 10 comments or something within the first couple of hours of you posting something. Now they are looking for just sustained engagement over time. That way, it's kind of like keeping the engagement rate steady, because that will show more evergreen content, still timely and relevant. And at the same time, then LinkedIn won't show you something that is about an event that has already passed. So an example, when the Queen of England died at the end of the summer, um, there was all sorts of content about it. People talking about how, England is going to be off for the next like week because they're all mourning the death of their queen. And I mean, those posts quickly went out of style because, all right, the queen had her day-long funeral and now people are back to work. And yet we were still seeing those posts. So that post no longer has any relevance whatsoever. It should not be continuing to get likes and engagements, and it probably didn't. So as a result, LinkedIn can stop delivering that. That's a good cue for the LinkedIn algorithm. I haven't seen this in really in action a ton yet because this is a fairly new update, but it is something that I did want to mention. The third thing that is really important to know about the algorithm is that media in posts matter, but not just any media. Specifically, the document upload and specifically a presentation. You can upload PowerPoint slides, Google Slides, whatever. I think you have to upload them as a PDF, and it will turn it into a slideshow for you on your post. It gives you greater real estate to share content and share your message, but then also you can get a ton more engagements. All people have to do is click the little right arrow button. Kind of acts like a carousel, which is a new format of content that LinkedIn is experimenting with. And now you're getting a higher engagement rate. It also opens up a whole new world of ways to use the LinkedIn platform to communicate your points without just using plain old text. If you ever have an opportunity to share a presentation, maybe you gave it to a class, or one time I shared some lecture slides here. I got a ton of engagements. It was wildly successful. And while I don't do it every post, I do try to do it at least once or twice a month, just to try and get my reach up and to get some new followers. For the rest of this page, it's all pretty broad and general stuff. So hopefully those 3 points I shared will be good. The content strategy page is lengthy, very lengthy, and there's a ton of different recommendations that they have. But to be perfectly honest, it's all just the same as what you'll see with other social networks. And if there's one thing to take away here, one, LinkedIn offers articles and newsletters that you can do and start to accumulate subscribers. That is very cool. That's very different. That's something you should try from a personal or a branding perspective. And then here's something not to do. Don't bother leveraging LinkedIn groups. Everybody is in a LinkedIn group to share their own stuff. People don't use LinkedIn groups to learn from others. There's a great example here, yes, in this video, and that is a good success story. However, all the influencers that I've followed and my own experiences have shown that LinkedIn groups are a complete and utter waste of time. And sure, you can join them and like check them out, see what kind of content people share. But most of the time, the groups that you join that have all these members, I would say any LinkedIn group with more than 100 members is nothing but self-serving posts that are people trying to all get the same thing, and that is their own content checked out. It's kind of like the law of Facebook groups, where the more people that are in a Facebook group equals the less likely that anybody's content is consumed. The smaller groups, there's a sweet spot in terms of the numbers. For LinkedIn, I would argue it's between 100 or between 50 and anywhere between 10 and I don't know, maybe 200. I want to scratch the 100 number because you can have some good conversation with that. But that's where I am with LinkedIn groups, and that's what a lot of the followers and the influencers that I follow have also said. And the last element here to think about is mobilizing employees, really, and executives. That's really powerful. When you publish a company update on LinkedIn, you are able to notify employees, which is really, really cool. And it gives you an opportunity to get your post in front of your employees, and then they can go share it, like it, do whatever it is that you want them to do in terms of engaging with the post. Executives are also really powerful in this element because they can then share a post and they're going to get it seen by a lot more people than those who already follow the page. So that's another thing to consider. You can do all this other stuff as well, a lot of the same things that you would see on other social networks. And finally, we have LinkedIn advertising. LinkedIn has one thing over all the other social networks and advertising, in that a lot of their data is self-reported. Your job experience, your education, demographic, not age, your job experience, education, companies, and interests are largely based on what people are actually reporting. Meanwhile, um, funny thing is demographics. Nobody actually gives you their age on LinkedIn. LinkedIn can estimate it based on your graduation dates from high school and college, but you don't actually put in your birth date when you create a LinkedIn account. So I actually had a couple strategy calls with a LinkedIn ad expert last year, trying to really get to the bottom of this. Like, hey, what do you guys recommend? Because the good thing about LinkedIn and also with Google is, like, yeah, they want you to spend your money, but they also want you to get success, because they know that if you run an ad and you don't get anything out of it, you're not going to do it again. So these ad executives, they want you to get success because they want you to keep spending money over time. So I built a relationship with this guy over the phone, talking about some stuff. And he told me two very interesting things. One, don't ever target by age and gender, because demographic data, one, it's not always self-reported. And then two, you have so many other things at your disposal that you're essentially wasting the platform's advertising power by using demographics. You are better off looking at education, experience, years of experience, for example, instead of age. And these other things are self-reported. Secondly, the other big thing to do is, when you're building an ad, when you're building an audience, similar to every other social network, it'll give you an estimated audience size. Now, with something like Meta, Facebook, and Instagram, they're not going to give you a number. They'll give you a number after you press go, but it gives you kind of a range, and it's like, oh, too broad or too narrow. LinkedIn will give you a number. Obviously, it's a pretty broad number, but LinkedIn's recommendation is that your audience is at least 80,000 people. It's not that you're going to reach all these 80,000 people, but because if you get too niche, too targeted, less than that, they see a huge drop off in success. But if you are targeting 2 million people, on the other hand, you are too broad, and your messaging and your ad strategy just needs to be more narrow so that your message will resonate with a larger part of the audience. A couple other things with the LinkedIn ads. There's a lot of different ad formats out there. There's your traditional native advertising, where there's a post and it looks like it's organic, but it's actually promoted. Same thing with videos and carousel, which is like multiple photos. I think we've all seen those before. Sponsored messaging, or previously known as sponsored in-mail, is a really interesting one, because you can pay to get your message in front of people in essentially a DM format. 99% of the time, this is done very poorly, because it's people just trying to overtly sell stuff when people don't want to be sold to in their inbox. And yeah, you could be exactly the right target audience, but like, you're not going to blindly accept somebody's proposal for a 15-minute Zoom call so that they can pitch you a product because they work for a company that you've never heard of before, and they don't even know what your company is to begin with. Rather, sponsored in-mail needs to be used to create relationships and a back and forth relationship where you can communicate freely and share those ideas and best practices. most people actually don't accept a sponsored mail message to begin with. But if you can get them with a, hey, I'm not selling you anything here, I'm just trying to connect with some other people in the industry, you have a much better opportunity for them to say yes and to at least start the conversation. I had a really big success with this once where I was actually looking for people to share their expertise with me. And I said, hey, I noticed you're a leader in the search engine optimization community, for example. I'm writing an article about semantic SEO, and I would love to get a quote from you if you're open to it. And I'll give you a link back to your site and all the information that you want, whatever. And I got a ton of positive response. And a lot of these people I'm connected with to this day, and they are now fruitful relationships where I'm learning stuff from them. They're learning stuff from me. And I know that the more that I can build my brand's awareness with them, the better off and the closer to getting them to become a potential customer could be. I am. So that's really the key to sponsored InMail, in that you don't want to sell something. You just want to try and if anything, you want to give them an opportunity to share their expertise and their thought leadership, because, hey, what better way to get in front of somebody than to tell them that you like the stuff that they do? Finally, we have lead generation forms. This is similar to like what's on Facebook. You can get a dynamic lead form set up from LinkedIn where they will, if somebody likes what you're peddling, they click on the link and it'll just bring up a form within the LinkedIn platform. And then they put in their information and then they get what they're looking for, whether that be an ebook, a white paper, something else. LinkedIn really likes this because it keeps them on their site, like I talked about before. And on the other hand, it also gets you what you want in terms of a new lead. Finally, LinkedIn bidding. To be honest, LinkedIn ads are much more expensive than all the other social networks. And that is, their cost per click is much more expensive because LinkedIn is under the belief that their quality of click is just higher than all the others. And so it is not at all surprising to see these bids here. I mean, in this example, these are bids for single clicks, $10.12, $4.05, like all the way down. If you do advertising on Instagram or Facebook, you're looking at a cost per click that is, way, way less, like 10, 20 cents. And here your average cost per click, $4. Whoa, not $10, $5 average cost per click. So you need to have a bigger budget available for LinkedIn ads. And also you want to make sure that you can get a tangible return on your investment, because this cost adds up really fast. And you need to make sure that if you are doing LinkedIn advertising, you are taking advantage of their targeting. You are very, very niche in what you're going after, but not too niche, right? You want that 80,000 person audience. And then you also need a clear way to measure the return on your ad spend. Because according to this here, in this example here, which I agree, I mean, this is a very standard cost per click, right? At $5 per click, it's gonna, in order to get it, for $1,000, right? You're only gonna get what, 100 clicks? No, 200 clicks, like not much. Meanwhile, on Facebook, 200 clicks you could get with in like a couple of bucks if you're really good. At that point, it's just a numbers game. Sure, LinkedIn might have much better targeting, but is it 50 times better than what Facebook has? Because if I'm getting 50 times the clicks on my Facebook ads, I'll take that trade-off. I'll take the poor traffic if it means I'm gonna, there's just going to be a higher chance that I land a couple of clients here. So this is the single biggest downside to LinkedIn advertising. And honestly, it makes it hard to sustain a legitimate LinkedIn campaign for long periods of time. And you need to be very, very strategic and intentional with how you do that when that time arises. But hey, that's all for LinkedIn as a platform, marketing with LinkedIn today. Similar to Twitter, this is one of the central places where I spend my time. So if you have any additional questions, please feel free to reach out, and I would be happy to provide any additional information. Thank you.